Wonderful. So Josh, welcome to LeadTail TV, and thank you so much for being here. I am so excited, honored, and as you know, a massive raving fan of Asana. So thank you so much. I really am excited to be here.
Oh, Brian, it's my pleasure. And I love nothing more than meeting people who are finding value in using Asana for their work. So thank you for being a customer. Appreciate that.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. Well, let's just jump right in, and let's talk about how just recently, as we all know that COVID and in the pandemic has made it possible to hold in-person events, for nearly 2 years. I'm curious just how your team is pivoting through all that.
A lot is the short answer. So my team pre-pandemic, we would host in-person events, and not just one or two. We would host around 200 events every year in person in locations all around the world. My team was always on the road. I myself was traveling internationally between 25 and 40% of my time, meeting customers, hosting events. And then COVID happened. And so we had to completely reimagine the entirety of what we do on the events portion of our community program. And I think, like most people, we started by here's what's working in person. Let's replicate that exactly as closely as possible virtually. And it worked a little bit, but we weren't making the most of the virtual format. And it took us quite a bit of iteration and testing things out, including format, duration, number of participants, what we do during an event to really figure out what works. And as soon as we figure out what works, we need to evolve it. Because as soon as we found a format or a methodology or a time of day that we thought we'd landed on, the world would continue to shift and people would start to tire of virtual events in new and different ways. And especially now, 2 years into it, no one's excited about attending another webinar. So we have to continually reinvent what we're doing, which is both very hard and an exciting challenge.
As a speaker myself, it's one of the things that I can't wait to get back to in-person events. But at the same time, it's also kind of a little cathartic to have virtual events. The hybrid of both really is kind of nice. And I'm wondering, what are you learning from holding virtual events that is nice to have on that side of things?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of pluses to virtual events. One, the first thing that comes to mind is just reach. There's no way, even if we hold 200, 300, 400 events, that we're going to reach all the people in all of the places that want to connect with us and with each other. And so virtual events have allowed us just incredible flexibility in opening up our doors really wide to people across regions, time zones. We've held events in many different languages now so that we're better meeting the needs of people on the ground within regions that matter to them. And so this level of flexibility, openness, and frankly, the cost is so low of us doing different things, experimenting, has let us really find our best footing in what is a very uncertain time. And so there are definitely a lot of pros to virtual events that I'm hoping we can take some of these learnings about being adaptable, making sure we're going to the right places for the right reasons, that we will bring with us. And we don't plan on giving up virtual events entirely. I think if nothing else, this period has proven that there is an absolute spot for virtual events in the portfolio of things that we do. We just hadn't done them before at this level. And so there's just been a tremendous amount of learning that's come along the way. One of the things that we've done on my team that's let us scale our event series, like most event teams run maybe a few dozen events a year, but as I mentioned, we run a lot, like around 200. And in order to do that, we needed to systematize how we work. And that doesn't mean everything is cookie cutter. It just means that we have a very strong template that helps guide our steps that we can then create the customizations for each event around. So one of the things that we have done is we built out a very robust event project template. And our events manager, Logan Wallace, is phenomenal. She and I together built out this incredible template. And basically for every event, we replicate it. And one of the things that has happened in the virtual world is we've continued to tweak it and adjust it. as we learn new things along the way, as we modify our event types, as we mentioned, so that we don't miss a single step. Because for anyone who's hosted an event of any sort ever, there are a million moving parts. And there are so many things that are very easy to lose track of if you don't take note of them. And so we've made it so that it's very turnkey for anyone else on our team that wants to run an event. It's all step by step. Every single piece of activity is accounted for so that we make sure that when it's time to do an event, for both the person or people running the event, they know what they need to do. And for the attendees, it's a very smooth, polished, professional experience. So that sort of thing has been enhanced because with virtual events, there's a whole other set of things that we needed to fold into our template around just the technical pieces that we need to keep track of. So this is an ongoing evolution of the work that we do.
Yeah, I mean, you not only are the product that usually drives the thing that manages what other companies are doing, but you're actually doing the thing that is creating the experience. And so that's why I'm so excited to talk to you about this, because you get to me, that's like you're creating like the chocolate sundae. You have the best job. How would you handle like maybe influencer relationships through and creators through all this, or would you not? Maybe virtual is not the place for this.
I think there's definitely a place for it. Like under my purview, we don't really work with influencers. We do work with ambassadors who are part of our community program. So it's similar in the sense that we want a space for them to connect with us because a lot of what they value in being part of our program is like hearing from people at Asana and learning from us. And we also want to share with them and they want to connect with each other. So one of the things that we've done is we have an Asana project that we've created called Asana Verse, which is where all of the people who are part of our program are invited in. They can access resources like templates for hosting their own events for their own teams, as an example, and ask questions of us. They can send us tasks in Asana. They can comment on tasks from other people. So it's reintroducing our product to them, the product that they already are using and that they like, but in a new way, in a different dimension, and really has created a central spot for us to base all of our activities with them on a center point for all of our work with them.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be really powerful around the events, as they wanted to be a part of the events. And now they're looking at the learnings from that. And then they're saying, okay, now as part of the events, I want to shout that out
Mm-hmm.
and be a part of that. But they can bring that to the conversation and start to be a part of that.
No, absolutely. Speaking to that point exactly, one of the things that we have experimented with over the course of the past year, really in the past few months, is we at Asana know how to run events. We can provide the platform, and our community members know a lot about a lot of different topics. And wouldn't it be awesome if they were speakers at our events too, rather than just Asana being speakers? And so we've run events like our recent Learnathon. We have another one coming up next year where rather than only Asana giving information, we're not the holders of all the information. There are community members that are experts on specific topics. We've invited them to come and lead workshops and talks. And we coordinated all of our work together about the event, all the back end behind the scenes work in Asana together with these external people. And so it's made that process of working together, whether it's with the colleague that in another world would be sitting right next to me at the next desk, or the colleague that's in another office in another country, or the ambassador that actually doesn't work for Asana but is working together with us on an event, much, much easier.
Okay, so we could take that and run 1,000 different miles with it, but I do want to shift into a different area, talking about one of the initiatives that you oversee, which is membership based, that ambassador program, a
Mhm.
little bit more, and what you're learning from your customers around that.
Yeah, so our community program is called Asana Together. It's open to all of our customers, and it includes things like our events, our community forum where people can ask and answer questions, and our ambassador program, which is you say that you want to raise your hand and connect with Asana in a deeper way. You fill out a very brief application and take a 10-minute course, and you become an ambassador. And so for our ambassadors, we've created a whole set of resources, webinars, connection events where they get to hear from the people behind the product as to not just here's what's coming, but why we developed it a certain way and what the ethos is behind it and what we're hoping it will do for you. The type of information that people wouldn't get on their own outside of our program. And then we know a lot of these people are responsible for bringing Asana to their teams. We want to make that as easy as possible for them. So we equip them with templates and resources, guides for how to talk to your team about Asana. And then some people just want to talk about Asana because they love it and they want to share it on social media. And so we've created a series of social media ready assets that they can then post on their own channels. So for me, it's part of creating that place where these people can be to connect with us and get resources from us. But even beyond that, we want them to connect with each other. As I mentioned before, we have some of the answers, but not all of the answers. And we don't use Asana in all the possible ways that people out in the world might. And I'm a big believer that there's lots of experts out there. And so we've created channels. We have a private Slack group just for community members where they can talk with each other, share ideas, share resources, share tips. And it's super active and people really seem to enjoy it. So beyond just here's a bunch of Asana stuff, we want to do that because people like it. There's a lot of opportunities within a membership program for people to really learn from each other and really connect and build that muscle of here's how we help our teams collaborate better together.
Mm. Oh man, I was gonna you answered my next question, which is the community influence and how your customers are connecting more together. And is that something that you're looking at building out more in other community ways?
Yeah, so I'm a big believer in meeting people wherever they are. There are some people who are already using Slack, are on it all day long. They use it at work. They use Asana at work too, and they want to connect with other Asana users. If they have a channel in Slack that they can just go to, way easier than having them go to yet another different spot. Like I want to meet them where they are. There are other people who are forum folks, and forum folks really want to ask and answer questions, talk about the product in depth. And so we have forum threads specifically for our members in addition to the general public. So I personally think if you're running any sort of community program or membership-based program or just want to provide places for your customers to connect, it's important to figure out where are these people? Like where do they congregate? Where do they want to talk to each other? Because then you can craft your program in a way that really speaks to them.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. That makes total sense. Yeah, especially from a demographic and a psychographic way perspective, they go where they're hanging out. That's
Yeah.
something that I always subscribe to. And if they're on Instagram, they're not moving to LinkedIn, even because you're looking at all kinds of data. We're always everybody gets bonus points just for saying the word data and how many times we say it. But what are the data sources that you're looking at, and how do you balance the objective, with the subjective and the qualitative analysis that you do, and how are you pulling that in and looking at it?
My job is to run an engagement program for our community. And so we want to know where people are engaging. And we want to know not only where they're engaging, but where can we track what they're doing in terms of engagement. So we have people in our program and beyond who talk about Asana online. So of course we have listening tools for all the social channels, but we also run a very deliberate membership-based program. So we want to look at, are people hosting their own Asana themed events? Are people attending events? Are they accessing Asanaverse, that hub that we've created for them? And if so, how often? So these are the types of things I look at when I think about community metrics. I look at program health metrics, which is like all the things I mentioned, like how are things happening? How are things going in our program? Like, are people signing up to become ambassadors? How many do we have? Are they using the tools that we've created? Are they accessing the channels that we've created for them? All speak to how is our program doing? Like, how is the heartbeat of our program? But then what the business cares about is something else. Like, what is the business impact? So we have a whole set of metrics around how does having an ambassador tie into the health of an account? So we look at both.
Yeah.
And we also look at more qualitative data because we have access to humans. So we also look at what they say about the product features that they're looking for, what's working and what isn't. If you want to hear from like real people on the ground, like what their opinion is on something that you're developing, come talk to my team. We can introduce you to some people in your target audience, and then they can share with you feedback on what you're developing. Community is just such a fantastic wealth of feedback for all of the things. And what's really great about community in general as it relates to feedback is that when you have a focus group or a user research study, it's often very controlled. And that's great for a specific type of output. What community can offer is they're going to tell you what's on their mind. They're going to tell you how they think of things in their own words. And so it offers a different perspective. And all of those perspectives together, along with the data, can be incredibly valuable.
Yes, that is it. That right there, because if everyone could if we could make engagement the KPI that every company stands for over every other KPI, then every other KPI would go up. Do you agree?
I do, because engagement, depending on which lens you look at it through, is only a net positive for the business. We want people engaging with our brand online. We want them talking about Asana. We want them engaging offline. We want them, in an ideal world, hosting their own events, someday again in person, which they've done in the past. We also want them engaging with the product, which is another dimension of engagement. And the truth is, we want all of those things. My team, our function is in a unique spot where we can help drive each of those things in different ways. And of course, there are many other factors that go into making all of things go that are beyond the scope of a community engagement program, but we can tie the pieces together in a very unique way. You have to already have a brand and a product that people love. You have to have a product that works and people are excited to use. But those are the essential ingredients. Beyond there, you can build these programs that can help amplify all of the good things that are happening.
So part of my brand is H to H, human to human, and I'm really a stand for being human is everyone's competitive advantage, and I think being human is a part of, if not a whole of what you do, and it's getting harder to do because now standing out as a brand is really is really and could be your competitive advantage. So how do you stay on top of that?
I think part of it is just being honest with when we're doing things that feel like they're for an entity or a company versus for a person. And as soon as we start talking about the entity rather than the person, that's when we know we're getting off track. One of the benefits of running a community program and having one is that you, unlike other forms of marketing, which are more one directional, you put a digital ad up, someone clicks it, the whole thing happens without a lot of human interaction, like in terms of person to person. With community programs, if we do something, host an event, people come, we see them, we see their faces, we talk to them, we chit chat, or we send out a message to our community members, and then messages come back to us. It's bi-directional. And so for us, it's actually very hard to forget the human element because it is the crux of what we do. And one of the things that I'm in a fortunate position to be able to do is when I see other teams stop recognizing that, like, we're actually talking about people here at the end of the day. Our product serves people. People make up teams. Teams work at companies who achieve missions. Reminding them that we're talking about people at the end of the day and trying to insert the voice of people into more of our marketing and more of the things that we do. We all want the big logo as our customers. That's important. That's like the lifeblood of the business. And behind the logo, behind every logo, there are people doing real work, working together collaboratively. Let's hear from them about what it means day to day on the ground. And to me, that's pretty awesome. I work in the world of people. It's ironic. I myself am actually quite shy, but I really love creating programs that bring people together and facilitate them spreading their own message and their own voices. And so for me, it's very gratifying.
What you were just saying was actually another question. You're like beating me to the punch on each of these, which is how do you practice empathy and customer engagement? And I think you just spoke to that. But if there's something more that you wanted to elongate on.
The only thing I would say there is, like, I think for marketers, I'm a marketer. I sit in the marketing department. That's the hat that I wear, the lens that I look at things through. I think it's very easy to get distanced from listening. listening to people, making assumptions, relying on industry trends, data. It's important in order to have empathy to listen to what your customers are saying, not just through focus groups, but talk to them. And again, that's one of the benefits of having a program like this is we can do that really easily. If any of your people who are watching or listening are wondering why you'd want to create a community program, if for no other reason than you have people that you can talk to bounce ideas off of, that in and of itself is totally makes it worth it. But having that line of communication open between you and the people whom you're serving, and just remember to relate to them like people. They're working at jobs just like you are. They have different concerns and different things that they do, but they're still people and they're still professionals and they want to do the best job that they can. They'll tell you everything you need to know when you approach them from this place of, I'm just like you. Have a way to talk to your customers. Don't let yourself get distanced from them.
Right. I'm also agnostic and teach community to entrepreneurs, and that's my whole reason for being in life. And I love community and want everyone to build one. And so I thank you so much for sharing that. And the last question I have for you is a slam dunk, I promise, which is you only use one emoji in everything that you use. What is it and why?
Yeah, so this is just like a me thing. So the important thing to know about me is that I love burgers. I travel and have traveled, hopefully one day will again, travel all around the world and in every city. I seek out the top burger or burgers. And in the world, and it's kind of like my personal brand at work. Everyone knows that I'm the guy to go to if you want to get the list of burgers for any given city. And so when it comes to emoji, there's so many to choose from.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm not Gen Z or Gen X, Gen Y. Like I can't keep track of all of these things. I can't keep track of all the new emojis that come out, nor do I care. So I decided for me, for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to choose one and I'll use it for every response ever. And so I chose the burger emoji, and everyone knows if the burger emoji is at the end of a response, it means whatever they want it to mean. That's the beauty of
Right.
it. People can interpret it however they want. Sometimes I respond with just a burger, sometimes I'll say something and there's a burger at the end, or people will respond to something that I've said with a burger. So
Oh,
it's now become this like
oh,
self-fulfilling burger
cool.
prophecy.
That's funny. That's
Yeah.
funny. Well, Josh, I can't thank you enough on behalf of Leadtail and myself. Thank you so much and really appreciate it.
Brian, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me. If anyone's interested in our program, feel free to check out asana.com/community or find me personally online. I'm everywhere. There aren't a lot of Josh Zerkels around. So if you search, you'll be able to find me very easily. I welcome all connections.
Great, great. And drop a burger. Awesome.
Drop me a burger.